for being on time. So I think we
Well,
should.
you sent two of us an email, but we're both together, so we're just going to do it on one.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, no, but there are I think 3 or 4 other companies that signed up for this class this morning, and we've sent them emails as well. And but you know, it's a Monday morning, and sometimes that's all it takes for people to forget or just not care because they haven't had their coffee yet. Okay, so let's. We're going to go ahead and get started here. You should be able to see my screen. It has the Transcend toolbar running across the top, and then it's got a pretty picture of an ocean scene with the words, "If you don't love the ocean, you don't deserve the ocean." Do you see that on your screen? You do? Okay. All right, great. Well, then we're going to go ahead and get started. The first thing that I want you to be aware of is that this class is being recorded. And what I mean by that is that you're going to be able to, at the end of this class, I'm going to ask you if you would like a copy of it. And if you say yes, then I will email you this very class that you just attended with your voices, my voices, your questions being answered, etc., so that it's precisely the class that you just attended. Usually takes about an hour to convert that and get it up onto YouTube, and then we can email you the link for that. So you can decide whether or not you want this class that you attended when we're done. Okay, this is a beginner's class. The beginner's class assumes that you have all of your data entry done. So all of your staff is in with their schedules and your groups and services with their prices and times and your clients and your inventory, etc. What this class is going to be focusing on is the appointment book, the point of sale, and commissions. So before we can really get into any of that, we need to make sure that our point of sale has a couple of items that are set up. And one of those is your retail tax rates. And so we do that by going to Setup, Configuration, Sales Register, and then we select Sales Tax Rates. Now we've got 3 here: the retail tax rate, the service tax rate, and the additional retail tax rate. Now, the retail tax rate is 95% of the time all we need to focus on. You probably have a local retail tax. Whatever that may be, you stick that into this field here. This is a percentage. So if it's 7%, you're not putting in 0.007, you're putting in, or 0.07, excuse me, you're putting in 7.00. That would be your 7% retail tax rate. If in your state or your city, you do have services that are charged that are taxable, then you do need to put in a service tax rate. There are only a handful of states in the U.S. that have service tax rates, so chances are you're going to leave that blank. Same thing with additional retail tax rate. The additional retail tax rate is essentially the ability for you to add additional tax once you have reached a particular level of retail sales. Again, that is very uncommon, but there are a few cities and a few states that do require it. So for 95% of our customers, all you need to do is put in your retail tax rate and then press Save. Done. Next, we're going to go to Setup, Configuration, Sales Register, and this time we're going to select Credit Cards Accepted. Whether or not you are processing credit cards through our preferred provider, it doesn't matter. Chances are you accept credit cards in one form or another, whether you do them through our preferred provider or you do them through a processor of your choice. Either way, you need to have what cards you accept listed here. And you do that simply by typing in the name and then pressing Enter. So I could type in Visa, Enter, MasterCard, Enter, American Express, Enter. And you can see I've got a few other things here like Annie, Visa, and Lydia again. And the reason that I have those is because when I teach some of these classes, sometimes I put in names like Deanna I could write and hit enter, and you'll see that appear here as though it were a credit card. So again, you simply type in the names of the cards and you press enter. These are only the cards that you accept. This is going to allow you to process a sale in the point of sale and say, hey, this person paid with credit card. Even if you are not using our preferred provider, you still are keeping track of the fact that a credit card was used, what type of credit card was used, and this way your reporting is accurate, even though you're doing your authorization through a separate terminal outside of the software. Okay. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is the appointment book. There are 3 different appointment books in the system. There's what we call the day view screen, what we call the week view screen and what we call the month view screen. Each one is a little bit different, obviously, and not just based on day, month, and week. And you'll see those differences in just a moment. We are not going to talk about the month view in this class. We talk about that in the advanced class. In this class, though, we will focus on the two basics, which people use 95% of the time, and that's the day view and the week view. So the day view screen, we come up here to our button that says book with a little calendar picture here, and we left click on that button. This brings us to our day view screen. The day view is our staff and perhaps rooms, equipment, etc., if we're a day spa or a med spa or something like that. But it is our staff for the particular day that we're on, and we can advance one day at a time or go backward one day at a time using these little arrows. So this screen is showing me my employees from Monday, August 14th, 2017, and their schedules. If I click on this button showing right, now it's Tuesday, August 15th. I click again, now it's Wednesday, August 16th. And now I can go back using my little arrow here, and now I'm back to Monday, August 14th. I can also choose the calendar button and jump to anywhere I want. I want to go to Wednesday the 30th and accept. Now I'm looking at Wednesday, August 30th. And a simple and quick way to get back to my current date without having to go back using this little arrow one day at a time, I can go back to calendar and simply hit today. And now I'm back on Monday, August 14th. So what I'm looking at right now is today's schedule. Now I'd like to book an appointment. I'm going to very rapidly book an appointment, and then we're going to go through the steps. So I'm going to choose a customer here. So we'll go with Maury. Going to choose a group like hair. Going to choose a service like a blow dry and curl. And I'm going to book that with Kathy. There we go. My appointment for Maury Earl for a blow dry and curl has been booked with Kathy at 10 a.m. today. Now we're going to go through those steps slowly. And Michael and Deanna, may I ask, are you, what type of business are you? Are you a salon, a spa,
We're a salon.
spa?
We're a hair salon.
Salon, okay, all right. So then I don't need to talk about rooms and equipment, so we will focus on hair.
We do other things than just hair. We also have massage and facials as well.
Oh, you do have massage and facials. Okay, so you're a salon and spa. Okay, and when you do a massage and a facial, do you have separate rooms for those?
Yes.
Okay, all right, good to know. All right, so then let's go through these steps. Again, we're going to stick for the first booking, we're going to call this what we call a single tiered booking, and we're going to do a hair service. So I choose a customer. Now, I've got several different ways to pull up a customer. The most common way is to simply left click on this button that says client. And when I click on that, it brings up my search window. Now, I can, if I was using, for instance, like an iPad or a Microsoft Office, Surface Pro, I can use my fingers to press these buttons, or I could even use my mouse to do it as well. Let's say I click on N-O and then select. Everybody whose last name starts with N-O is going to appear. Or I could type, so I could do A, B, enter. And now everybody whose last name starts. Now I'm just doing two letters. I could have done as many letters as I want. For instance, if I knew the person's name was John Abbott.
We actually know all of this stuff already.
Okay. All right. I'm glad you told me.
Save you a little stress.
Just so you know, by the way, you can also go by first name, by telephone number, or by membership number. We'll go ahead and pull up another client here. Okay, so you know this. And I'm going to choose a group. I'm going to choose a service. Then I'm going to book with Debbie at 12 o'clock. Debbie, 12 o'clock. Left click to block out the time. Right click to choose what type of customer she is. And the appointment is booked. That's single tiered booking. Now we're going to talk about two-tiered booking. Two-tiered booking is booking an employee and a room, not just an employee. Do you know how to do that as well?
Yeah, but we don't really need to book the rooms separately because there's only one person that does each thing. And they're only here at the time, so.
Okay, all right, I'm glad you said that, so we can move on from there then. Okay, then the next thing we'll talk about, unless you're familiar with it, is standing appointments. Are you familiar with standing appointments?
Yeah, we have tons of them, so that would be great if you could show us how to do that in here.
Oh, absolutely, yes. Okay, so there's a button here that says standing appointments right here in my day view screen. And here's my standing appointments window. Now, I don't have to be in the appointment book to get there. From my main menu, I could have chosen appointments and selected standing appointments. Also, if I was in the point of sale, I could have done the same thing. I could go to book appointments and select standing appointments, and there it is again. So how does this work? So let's do it. I'm going to go to appointments, and I'm going to select standing appointments. And now I'm going to choose a customer, whoever they may be. So I'm going to go with somebody I don't normally choose. We'll go with Sherry Ingram here. And now I'm going to choose the employee that they would like to see. So perhaps I'll choose Debbie. Now I can choose the service that they would like to get from Debbie. And we'll say that she is going to give them a Brazilian blowout. And just like any time you book an appointment, you choose what type of customer they are. If they ask for Debbie, they're a request. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now, on what day are you booking their first of the standing appointments? That's what this start date is. Maybe it's today, maybe it's tomorrow, maybe it's next Wednesday. I can either use my calendar here to jump to whatever day I want, or I can use my plus or minus signs just to go one day at a time. Today is August 14th. I'm going to click on the plus sign. Now it's Tuesday, August 15th. Then my time of day. And I'm going to say, what time does Sherry Ingram want to come in for her appointments? She would like to come in at noon. How often is she going to come in for a Brazilian blowout? She's going to come in every, I don't know, let's say 2 weeks. And now the number of visits I would like to book. I can book from 1 visit all the way to 256 visits and everything in between. Now understand, if I'm booking every 2 weeks, and there are 52 weeks in a year, if I were to book 256 visits, that would be 10 years worth of bookings. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say a dozen. I'm going to book a dozen appointments. And so my last appointment is going to be January 16th of 2018. Starting tomorrow, August 15th, every other Tuesday at 12 noon. Now, once I've selected that information, I get to press show. And it's really important that I press show. And the reason it's important is because you're looking for this, where it says status. You need them to say okay. If they say okay, that means the appointment can be booked. If there is a problem, maybe let's say that on Tuesday, December 19th, Debbie is scheduled to be off for the Christmas holiday. She's taking from the 17th till the end of the year, taking those 2 weeks off. And so she wouldn't be available for that appointment. So there, instead of it saying okay, there would be X's here, XX. All the others might say okay, but that one wouldn't. Now, I can either simply accept it the way it is and simply tell the customer, all of your appointments can be booked except for December 19th. You're going to miss that one. But they may not like that. They might say, no, I need, every 2 weeks I've got to have this done. So if Debbie's not going to be available, can't you move me with somebody else? All I need to do is highlight that. And now I can choose an alternate operator. Debbie would not normally be listed if she's off that day. But the reason she's still here is because, as you can see, she obviously does work because there was an okay. But maybe you got X's anyway, and her name is still there. Why? Because perhaps she was booked with somebody else at that time already, or something else. Maybe you had blocked out time for a doctor's appointment or something else. The point is that she wasn't able to do that time, but she's still available that day. Well, if that's the case, we can just keep it on Debbie, but choose an alternate time. Or we could have chosen somebody else entirely and an alternate time, or maybe not, maybe the same time. So now I've got all of my appointments at 12 o'clock that are okay with Debbie, but on the 19th, I've got a 12 o'clock alternate with Christian. Now, once they all say okay or ALT, I can simply hit book. Appointments have been booked. So let's take a look, shall we? Let's go into our appointment book. Let's go to tomorrow, and we should be able to find Sherry Ingram for a Brazilian blowout with Debbie. There it is on Tuesday, August 15th. That appointment's been booked. Let's go forward 2 weeks and a day. And there's Sherry Ingram on August 29th for a Brazilian blowout with Debbie. Let's go to the December 19th. And there's Sherry, but notice she's with Christian this time. So they all booked exactly the way we wanted them to. Now I want to show you something else. I'm going to go back to my standing appointments. I want to bring your attention to this button here that says Auto Standing. When I booked Miss Ingram's 12 appointments, I left that gray. So all it did was book her 12 appointments out to January. Had I checked that box and then booked her appointments, what it does is it would have booked her 12 appointments, but every single time she used one, it would have added another one 2 weeks after the last one, so that she's always 12 appointments out. That's what auto standing does for you.
And that's freaking fabulous. Thank you.
All right. Okay, so that is standing appointments. Any questions on that before we continue?
Nope.
All right. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about booking a basic appointment, which sounds like you guys are already familiar with. And now we've talked about standing appointments. Now we're going to very briefly talk about the week view screen and rescheduling and unbooking appointments. First, the rescheduling. There are two different ways to reschedule, and people who are familiar with the software, especially if they've been with us for a long time, they're still doing it the old-fashioned way, which is right-click on Maury's appointment here and select reschedule, then taking it to another time like 12 o'clock and left-click, and there it is. Then right-click and select reschedule and take it to 2 o'clock and click, and there we go. And that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. That's why we've left it in the software that way. But another way to do it is by checking this box here that says reschedule. This activates our drag and drop feature. So now I can just grab the appointment and move it anywhere I want. And when somebody says, like Maury here, calls and says, you know what, I'm sorry, I can't come in today at all. Now I've got a couple of options. If she doesn't know when she can book her next appointment, I can right-click on her appointment and unbook it. Or if she says, what other times does Kathy have available this week? Then what I can do is go to Kathy's name, right-click, and choose Week View. Now I'm looking at just Kathy's schedule for the next 2 weeks. And with my little plus and minus signs here, I can add or subtract days so that I can see up to 31 days at one time. So I choose my reschedule, and I move Maury to August 17th, or to August 21st, or to 10 a.m. on Wednesday the 23rd, 2 o'clock on Thursday, August 24th, or right back to 12 o'clock today. Really easy to just move an appointment around for a particular employee. Right-click on my day and go back to that current day, and I'm right back where I started. That's the weekly
awesome.
screen.
So what we're doing is we're currently using an appointment book, and it's gigantic and it's huge and it's annoying because some of our hairstylists are afraid of the computer.
Right.
We're looking to take this book and, you know,
throw it out the window.
Well,
throw it out the window and start using.
I'm really glad to hear you say that. What you're going to do when you move over to an electronic book, you're going to be able to show your staff that's afraid of an electronic book just how flexible this becomes for them. Because not only are you able to do, you know, standing appointments and bookings, et cetera, of course, obviously, but how about this? How about if I were to reschedule or unbook an appointment, then Kathy would be instantly notified that her appointment book has just been changed. Or perhaps, now we don't normally talk about Darcy in this class, you can take a Darcy class, but perhaps you could have something like, under notifications, email tomorrow's schedule to the operator. Every single night, Kathy, who is afraid of an electronic book, receives an email right to her smartphone that says, hey, Kathy, it's Darcy. This is what tomorrow looks like for you.
Well, what I think they're more afraid of is at one point, apparently, the computer crashed in the salon, and it was so. But we can access this through our iPads and phones and everything if we need to, in case the physical computer crashes, right?
Are you absolutely? Are you using the cloud version of the software or the installed version?
Excuse me?
If you're not sure, I can look that up.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay, really not sure. That's fine. What's the name of your business?
Chrysalis Salon.
Okay, let's take a peek here. Bear with me just a moment. I'm going to just pull you up.
We're probably installed.
Yeah.
Well, we'll find out. We can always get you switched over, too. Especially because right now, so that everybody gets onto the app, we're switching people over to the cloud for free. But let's see, Chrysalis.
That's very good. Because if we have multiple ways to access...
Staten Island, Fort Myers, or Lansdale, PA?
Staten Island.
Staten Island, okay. Okay. All right. You are correct. You are using an installed version of the software. With an installed version of the software, you are not able to access the software, say, on an iPad. You would be able to access it on a Windows-based computer like a Surface Pro if you wanted to go with a tablet, but it would be on the local network, which means you wouldn't be able to do it from home. With the cloud, you can do it from anything, an iPad, a Mac, a PC, a PC tablet like a Surface Pro. You can do it from home. You can do it on vacation, on your laptop. It doesn't matter because it's the cloud. So if your computer crashed, you could access it from anything that has internet access. With the installed version of the software, your data and your software is actually installed physically on that computer. God forbid that computer crashed. If you didn't have a backup, you would lose everything. With a backup, you'd be able to get the software reinstalled on another computer, upload your backup, and everything's right back again. Hopefully, you're doing regular backups. You can either have them done manually, or you can have a third-party backup system. It's entirely up to you. But if you're not sure how to do backups, that's something that I can show you. But again, if you're using the installed version, you don't have that kind of flexibility.
Let me ask you, how different is the cloud version?
It's the same
does it cost extra? I mean,
it can, based on the number of computers you're actually using the software on simultaneously. Let me see again. Hang on just a second. Let's take a peek here. Let me pull you back up real quick. Okay, so according to this, you're using the software on 2 total computers.
Yes.
Is that accurate? Okay. So then if you were to sign up for the cloud, the actual $99 charge to move from the installed to the cloud would be waived. We're doing that until the first of the year. It's totally free, so that you wouldn't pay anything extra for that. What you currently pay monthly would not change except for that second computer. That second computer, you purchase what's called a workstation license, and that works for a local network. In the cloud, you have to have what's called a subscriber access license, and that's a hard cost. So we do have to charge for those. That's $9. So that would be $9 a month. So whatever you're paying us right now would be increased by $9, and then you would still have access on any 2 computers anywhere in the world at any time, but only 2 computers simultaneously. If a third computer joined, it would knock one of those first 2 off.
Necessarily run it simultaneously on 2 computers. We only use 1 computer to do all this stuff. The other computer that's on the account is actually the salon owner's, and I think he just uses it to do payroll.
Okay, well, again, as long as he wasn't doing payroll when you were doing business, then you wouldn't even need that extra $9. He'd be able to log in on his back computer when you guys were down, on the
So
Sunday
basically, it would cost the same, and we would have the insurance that if our computer itself crashed, we can just grab our iPad and hop onto the site and be fine.
Yep, that's true.
All right. So then, you know what? I'm going to make the executive decision, switch us.
All right. If that's something that you'd like to do, you're going to call our 800 number. Just so you have it, it's 800-710-3879. And you're going to go to extension 128. Her name is Maureen Long. And you'll tell her that you want to move up to the cloud and sign up for the app. Again, remember, signing up for the app is what gets you into the cloud for free. Okay? Signing up for the app is free until the first of the year. When the new year comes, we're going to start charging for the app, but you can decide, nope, turn my app off. That way you've never paid anything extra. Okay?
All right.
Does that make sense?
All right, well, we'll make that call.
All right, great. Okay, yeah, and then she'll get that all set up for you. So let's get back to what we were doing here. We are talking about what we were doing was the appointment book, and we just talked about standing appointments and the week view screen. That's right. Okay, so next we're talking about the point of sale. Now, here in the point of sale, and because you guys already are using the software, and it looks like you've been using it for quite a while, I'm sure that there are a lot of things about the point of sale that you're already familiar with. And in this beginner's class, I usually go over the basics rather than some of the more advanced things. But because you're probably already familiar with it, I just want to go over some things that you may not be familiar with. Okay?
Okay.
Does that make sense? All right. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to get out of that point of sale. We're going to go back to our appointment book. And something that a lot of people don't realize is that they can check out right from the appointment book. So Maury here would like to check out. I'm going to right-click and select Check Out. That opens my point of sale with Maury's ticket already pre-filled in for me. So that's just one little thing there that a lot of people are not familiar with because they think they have to go.
Basically, when we start using the appointment book, our life is just going to get easier.
That's right.
Do everything.
Totally agree. Yeah, it's definitely going to make it easier. Also, when you're using the appointment book, everybody who has an appointment listed for that day is going to be listed here as well. So you don't necessarily have to go to the appointment book to check them out. They'll be listed here if they have an appointment with you. So you can choose Maury and it'll fill the ticket in for you. And they're going to be listed either alphabetically or in order of checkout. So if they're in order of checkout, depending on what time of day it is, they should be at or near the top as they come to your front desk. So really easy to find them and check them out. Now, what happens if Maury came in? She booked an appointment with you for a blow dry and curl with Kathy for $50, but while she was there, she was upsold. And her upsell then would not be placed on the appointment book. So the only thing that was on the appointment book was the blow dry and curl. That's fine. You can simply click on Service and then say, who else did she see while she was there? Oh, she saw Leslie. And what else did she get? Well, she got a French manicure. And last. So now I've got Maury saw Kathy for a blow dry and curl, which was on my appointment book, and she saw Leslie for a French manicure. So now I've got $75 worth of ticket here, and I can go to payment. Now, you probably are familiar with gift certificates or coupons and things like that. So unless you're not familiar with them, I'm going to skip those. And I want to go over some of the ways of accepting payment here that people are not familiar with. Of course, you're familiar with cash, check, credit card, I'm sure. But what about this one here that says 1, 2, 3, 4?
We're very interested in that one.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, a lot of people aren't familiar with this. This is what's called a series. Well, what's a series? Let's say that you offer something like a highlight. And you say, you know what, when somebody gets a highlight, after about 8 weeks, they really should be coming back in to get that highlight again. You know, it's starting to fade or whatever, it's grown out. You know, they really need to come back in every 8 weeks if they're a highlight customer. And I'm just making this up. You could apply this to any service that you think of. So I've got a customer that comes in every 8 weeks. Let's talk about a haircut, even better. Maybe they come in every 2 weeks or every 4 weeks for a trim. So this is somebody who regularly comes back to you for the same service. So what if somebody was coming in every 2 weeks like clockwork for a Swedish massage and you sell them for, I don't know, let's say $100 for an hour. And so if they came in 10 times, they would owe you $1,000 over the course of the next 5 months because they're coming in every 2 weeks, 10 times, 5 months, $1,000. Okay. Well, maybe there's a little cash issue, and you say, you know what? You come in every 2 weeks and you pay us $100 for your Swedish massage. What if I sold you 5 Swedish massages at once for $450? It would be like getting one for free. Or $425. You know, now you're getting an even bigger discount. Or maybe I'm going to sell you 10 at one time for, instead of $1,000, maybe $850. So you're like getting 3 for free or so, whatever it may be. The customer loves this idea. They're going to put it on their credit card and they're going to save themselves a lot of money because they're paying for multiple services, all the same service, at one time. Then they don't have to pay for them again. So let's see how that's done. I go to Setup, Configuration, General, Series. Setup, Configuration, General, Series. And now I can choose a series name. I can give it any name I want. So let's just say Women's Haircut 5. So this is just a series of 5 women's haircuts. And now I can choose up to 5 different individual services, but I'm just going to go with one. So I'm going to go to my, I think I've got that in here, or I don't. Probably under H. Yeah, here we go. So I've got my haircut no blow dry right there. My quantity is 5. Now, these are $50 each. If I hit enter, this would take 5 times 50 would be $250. I'm going to give the customer a discount, and I'm going to say that my total price is $225. So now I've got my haircut, no blow dry, quantity 5. The value, we need to stay at $50 each, even though my total price is $225. So why is that? Well, because it doesn't change the price of my service. It changes the price of the series. So we'll accept that. Let's take a look now. So I've got my women's haircut series that I just created. I've got, as you can see, I've made an awful lot of them. Where is it? Where is it? There we go. Women's haircut 5. That's what I've called it. They're $50 each. My total price is $225. Now a customer comes in, and I talk her into buying it. Claudia. I'm going to sell Claudia a series. And what series is Claudia going to purchase? Claudia is going to purchase my women's haircut 5. And I can put in an expiration date if I want. I don't have to. And I'm going to say 02/01 of 22. That's when it's going to expire. And accept. She owes me $225 instead of $250. And she pays me in, let's say, cash. And accept. However you accept her payment. Done. All right, Claudia now owns a series. So the next time she comes in and she gets that service, and if I'm not mistaken, that was a haircut with no blow dry. There it is. Look at this. The client has a series on file for this service with 5 services remaining. Okay, so she saw Christian. She's getting a haircut no blow dry, $50. We go to payment. We're not taking cash or check or credit card. We are taking a series. She's got one, 5 out of 5 unused, and she's going to use one. And accept, and accept. Done. A couple of weeks later, guess who comes back? Guess what she gets? She gets a haircut with no blow dry. And now she has 4 remaining. And we can accept her series as a method of payment. So a series is the ability for you to sell the same service multiple times for a discounted price, and then they can use that series as a method of payment in the future.
You just, I don't know, just spoke like God to us right now. That was amazing.
All right, well, I'm glad you liked that.
We have a lot of series.
Now, the next
all
one
done
is
by
this
paper
one.
cards.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. Yeah. Well, you've got software for a reason. We need to start using it. Okay, with this one here is called On Account, another one that's very unfamiliar for people. The most common way to use On Account is for a deposit. Somebody who has given you a deposit, money up front, and then they remove money from what they've paid you. So maybe you're doing a wedding party or something like that, and they're going to have 10 women coming in to all get their hair done, their facials, their makeup, and their nails done for the big day. And you say, well, if I'm going to book all of those people out, I need to have a deposit, because if you people no-show on me, all of my employees are screwed. So we're going to take a deposit. Do you do things like that? Michael, Deanna, do you guys do deposits?
Yeah, only
Okay.
for certain services.
Okay, for whatever they are, you're going to all a deposit is in the software is an amount of money that the customer has pre-given you without making a payment. I mean, without buying something. They're giving you money. So essentially, you're acting like their bank. So we go to register, and from register, we go to on account, and then we can go to an on account payment. So now I can choose anybody in my database, like John here. And I'm going to say that John gave me $500, and he gave it to me cash, check, Visa, MasterCard, whatever. I'm going to say he paid it with cash. I can give him a receipt if I want by clicking this or not, and accept. Okay, so John Tab has given me $500. Now, when somebody comes in, whether it's Mr. Tab or not, well, let's just say it is, he's actually got $750 on account because I've used him before for $250. But he's got $750 worth of on-account credit. That's on deposit. Now, let's just say that he sees Leslie and he gets a cut and color. He owes me $150. We go to payment. We're going to accept on account the $150. Remember, he has $750 on account with us. Watch what happens. We're going to accept that. Now, the next time Mr. Tab comes in, he only has $600 on account because he's used $150 of the deposit that he gave me. That's all that is. Now, what if it was like a group? What if there were multiple people and they were all going to be paid by Mr. Tab's deposit? Okay, it's not a problem. I'm going to pull up a customer like, let's say, Philippa here, Taban. She saw Debbie and she got a back facial. And I'm also going to pull up another customer on the same ticket. Mary Tabor saw Kayla. No, she didn't because Kayla doesn't offer services. She saw Anna and got a microfacial for $100. We're going to do one more, in fact. We're going to say, whoops, got to pull up the customer first. I'm going to say that Kathy Tabaris here saw Melinda and also got a back facial. I've got 3 different women here seeing 3 different employees getting 3 different services all on the same ticket. And they're going to be paid for, that's $230. They're going to be paid for change by Mr. Tab. There he is. And they're going to be paid for on his on account and accept. So I've got Philippa Taban, Mary Tabor, and Kathy DeBarras being paid for by Mr. John Tab's on account and accept. Now, if I pulled up Mr. Tab again at any time, you now see he has $370 on account with you. And if I were to pull up any of those women, let me go ahead and go to my clients here and pull up, who did I use? Like Philippa here. And if I were to go into her history, you'll see that on August 14th, she saw Debbie and got a back facial. And if I view the transaction, I'll actually see that Anna was on that transaction and so was Melinda. And I can see that it was paid for by John Tab on account. So all of the history is there, no matter who, if I went to Mary Tabor's or Kathy DeBarris's or Philippa Taban, all of that history would be there. I could even go to John Tab and show that he paid for it, but it's all there for me. That's a deposit, and that's how you pay on account. Any questions on that?
Nope. We probably won't be using that feature too often.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Again, that makes sense because the reason I'm showing it to you is because most people are unfamiliar with it. There's a reason why they're unfamiliar with it because most people don't use it very often. Okay, next question. You aren't by any chance part of a hotel or resort, are you?
No.
Okay, so then I can skip that one altogether. This one here is the exact same as this one. This is personal checks. This is traveler's checks. And so few people use traveler's checks today that, I mean, that's just become almost like an appendix. Now, other allows you to create your own unique methods of payment, whatever they are. 99% of the payments that you would receive are going to be cash, check, credit card, gift certificates, series, etc. Other simply allows you to create something that's out of the ordinary. Somebody pays a different way. Maybe your electrician does your wiring. Your internet guy fixes your router. So you give them a free haircut or you give them a massage or something like that. You can certainly do that, and you could do it with something like other. So I could choose something like, for instance, barter, and I could say electrician's wife or electrician or something like that. This way, your staff can still get their commission. You still have a history of it. You still show everything that was done, but you're not taking in regular monies that are going to affect your drawer or your deposits. Okay? And then lastly is the rewards points. We really don't talk about these in this class. We get over those in the advanced class, but just very, very briefly. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Just one sentence explanation. It's like airline miles. You assign points to your services and your products. Your customers can then earn points, and they can use them to get discounts or freebies from you. And that's all we'll talk about that. Okie doke. So there's a lot in the point of sale that we don't address in this class, but we're about to jump to commissions. Do you guys need to go over commissions or not?
Right now, what we would really like to focus on more is the appointment.
Okay, let's go back to the appointment book then. What would you like to know about it?
To create these services and the time slots and things like that.
Oh, okay.
Say if we're going to do a client that she's getting highlights and she's coming back in she's coming down in an hour to do the haircut and then the blow dry and things like that. We need to learn how to use the book for that because we have a lot of clients that book multiple time slots in the daytime.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense, of course. Okay, what you're talking about is what we call a package. That's multiple services on the same day, different services, but more than one service booked on the same day. We call that a package, like a day of beauty or something like that. Okay, so you need to
talking
create...
more along the lines of like someone's coming in to get highlights, but then we have to book them for a toner and a haircut and a gloss.
Space in between.
Like with spaces in between and things like that.
Okay. All right. Let me ask you this. How much space is in between each appointment?
Usually if it's like a cut and color, the color takes a half hour. There's a half-hour processing time where we could put another appointment in, and then like their second spot for the haircut would be after that.
All right. So let's take a look here. I'm going to go to setup, and from setup I'm going to go to my salon and spa services, and that brings me into my services window. Now I can choose a particular group. You probably already have your groups and services set up, but if they're not designed for the appointment book, then they're probably not set up very well. A group is, well, like for instance, something like massage. That's not a service. That's a group name because the services are the individual massages, like shiatsu massages or Swedish massages or head massages, and you could have different times like a Swedish 30 or a Swedish 60 or a Swedish 90, etc. A shiatsu 30, a shiatsu 60, etc., etc. Those are the services, but massage is not a service, it's a group. So we first choose whatever group we're talking about. In this case, I'm going to go with hair. Then we choose the service that we're discussing. Let's see, do I have a cut and color? I do. So here's my cut and color. Now, you may not have a cut and color in your system. Maybe you do. If you don't, you need to create one, it sounds like. So you simply type in the name cut and color and hit enter. And that will create a brand new service called cut and color. If you already have one in here called cut and color, don't type it in. Find it, because you don't want it to try to create another one by the same name. That'll give you an error because you've already got one in there by that name. So I'm going to choose my cut and color here. And now I give it a price. In this case, I'm going to say $150. Then I'm going to go to my times. Now, this is what's important. This is what we're talking about here. We've got 3 different types of times: single, double, and triple. A single means that the provider of the service is with the customer the entire time. That's a single. That's like a massage. The provider, it never leaves the customer. However, a double is very different. A double means there are 2 distinct times that the provider is with the customer, and 1 distinct time right smack dab in the middle of them that the provider has left the customer. This is your processing time. So I have got my color here, so right here, this is how long it takes me to put in my chemical, etc. And then I've got my processing time, then I have my finish time. So my chemical time, my processing time, my finish time, also known as application time, processing time, and finish time. Whatever you're doing in that finish time is entirely up to you. So if that's when you give them their haircut, fine. So first I choose my total time. How long does this service actually take? Well, I've said it takes an hour and a half. So I use these little arrows here to choose how long it actually takes. So I've said an hour and a half. Then how long is my application time? Again, I use these little arrows to put in how long that application time. I've said my application time is 30 minutes. So I've chosen 30 minutes, and that blocks out my application time. Then my processing time. I say, how long is that? Well, let's say that's also a half hour, or maybe it's 45 minutes, or maybe it's only 15 minutes, whatever it is. I'm saying it's a half hour. That's my processing time. Then I have my finish time. You don't have to set finish time. The finish time is what's ever left over. Notice if my processing time was 45 minutes, my finish time is only 15. And you might say, well, that doesn't work. I need a half hour of application, 45 minutes of processing, and at least a half hour to finish. Well, then fine. Then make your total time an hour and 45 minutes, not an hour and a half. Now it's set up the way you wanted it. Let's go back there. Let's go back there. Half hour, half hour, half hour. It's an hour and a half total. We're set. And now I can save that. And now that it's saved, I can book it. So I can go to my appointment book. I can choose a customer. We'll go with Angela here. And I'm going to choose a group, hair, and I'm going to choose a service, like a cut and color. And I'm going to book that with Abigail at 11 o'clock. Left click to block out my time, right click to choose what type of customer she is, and look how it's different than my blow dry and curl. I've got my application time, my processing time, and my finish time. Does that make sense?
For some reason, your screen just...
I think that's our screen.
Yeah, our screen just popped up. For some reason, it blocked everything.
Move your mouse.
And then we can book something in the processing time, right?
Yes, absolutely. So in
Okay,
fact,
great.
let's go ahead and just, I'm going to grab another customer here. We'll go with Marcelo De Silva. When booking a haircut for Marcelo, be sure to book for blah, blah, blah. Ah, okay, that's just a fake note. Good to know. All right, and then I'm going to choose a half-hour service for him. Let's go with a blow dry, and I'm going to stick that right in there. And look what we've got here. Angela has got her cut and color, and Mr. De Silva has got a blow dry right smack dab in the middle of Angela's cut and color.
Okay, great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, say we have, like, some of our stylists, not all, but some of our stylists have our assistants applying their touch-ups. So while they're doing that, the stylist is working on a different client. So, like, the stylist is almost double booked for the appointment.
Uh-huh.
Because the client that's getting the color is seeing their assistant first.
Okay, so let's pull up another service here, like a, well, we'll go with another cut and color, actually.
Okay.
Let's just do it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do this one for Marcelo here, and I'm going to say that my last half hour is actually going to, Abigail is going to start in the last 15 minutes of that, or in the last half hour of that, on Marcelo. So now I've got what's called a conflict color. So I've got my full hour and a half for Angela Gabusi here, and now I've got a full hour and a half for Marcelo De Silva, but Marcelo, his hour and a half is starting in the last 15 minutes of Angela's. Do you see how that's booked?
Yeah. I don't think that's not what we meant. Like, say, I have a client coming in at 11 o'clock. She's getting a touch-up, but I will also have another client coming in at 11 o'clock that's getting a haircut, but they're seeing the same stylist. However, the person that's getting the color
Gets the color put on by the assistant.
yes.
Okay, and you're not booking the assistant?
No, we're not booking the assistant.
Unless we make an assistant column.
We might make it. We might have to make an assistant column, but it would be, that's only if we could do that and attach it to the stylist column.
Right.
Yeah, and you can actually do that. Not only can you create the assistant, but you're also able to have what are called, oh gosh, I haven't done this in so long. You may need to speak to one of our techs about exactly how it's done, but basically what you're able to do is you're able to connect somebody to a service so that they can get a piece of the commission as well. But if it's not a matter of commission.
No, it's not a matter of commission. The assistants don't get commission. They just apply.
Well, then, yeah,
It's a matter of booking 2 appointments at the same time for the same stylist.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So you certainly could. Let me go ahead and reschedule this one, and I'm going to dump it right here. So now I've got Marcelo De Silva and Angela Gabusi both scheduled at exactly the same time for the very same service. And I can right-click on them, and you can see they're both booked with Abigail. They're both booked at the same time. So that you could do, so the entire thing, and they both show up separately. Trying to think of...
But they wouldn't be booked for the same exact service. One client would be booked for a haircut. The other client would be booked for a color.
Okay. All right. So then, again...
But I guess that doesn't really matter to you. But we can...
we could play around with
we
that.
can, we can play around with that and figure that out.
Let's just do a blow dry here.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I've got two here. I've got Angela for a cut and color, and I've got Marcelo for a blow dry and curl, and they're occupying some of the same time. So you can do something like that.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Okay. All right. Well, that's easy enough. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to make it more complicated than it should have been. Any other questions that I might be able to help you with? Because our class is just about over, and I want to make sure that I get your questions answered, because obviously you really didn't need a beginner's class because you're pretty familiar.
Well, we
with
didn't really know what to sign up for.
Sure.
You know,
there are features that we don't use at all, so we had to start from the beginning.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Well, I'm glad I was able to help. Is there anything else you were hoping to see today that maybe I didn't cover yet? Or sometimes you don't know what you don't know, of course, so.
I have a question. Can we make different stylists have different, like some take longer than others? Can we adjust the times per stylist?
Yes, absolutely. So let's go back to our salon and spa services, and let's just choose something here. We'll go to hair. Let's just go with the blow dry and curl. It doesn't matter. So I'm going to go here to my times. My blow dry and curl is 1 hour under single. So that means that the stylist is with the customer the entire hour. Okay. In this case, there's no processing time. Now I can say these are all of my stylists that provide blow dries and curls. And I'm going to say Abigail is 1 hour and 15 minutes and save. And Kathy is 45 minutes and save. And anybody I didn't give a different one to is at the regular hour that I had set it up for. So let's take a look. Let's go into our appointment book. We'll pull up a couple of customers here. Let's start with Kendra, and we're going to go with hair, and that was a blow dry and curl, and we're going to book that with Abigail. And as you can see, this one's booked for 1 hour and 15 minutes with an additional 15 minutes of cleanup time after it. We're going to grab somebody else here. We'll go with Sarah, and we're going to book this one with Kathy. And this one is 45 minutes with the additional 15 minutes. So absolutely you can do that, yes. Everybody can have their own.
Yeah, how do we do that?
Oh, cleanup is entirely up to you. You don't need to remove it if you don't already have it. So we go to Setup, Salon and Spa Services. Right now, if I go to Hair and I choose my blow dry and curl, here's my cleanup. I've got it set for 15 minutes to block my provider for 15 minutes. If I remove that and save, now if I book an appointment, go to Myrna here, choose my hair, choose my blow dry and curl, and book that at 12 o'clock with Leslie. No cleanup time.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. Any last questions before I
no, but we're definitely going to want, I guess, a copy of this.
Okay, what is the email address you'd like me to send the copy to?
Would you be able to send it to two?
Oh, of course.
I could forward it, never mind.
Yeah.
Michael, Michael, JOSEPH75 @gmail.
Okay, I'm going to have you start over. Michael, Michael, and then what's the next one?
Joseph, JOSEPH.
Okay.
75 @gmail.com.
gmail.com. All right, you've got it. You'll probably have that email in about an hour.
Perfect.
All right. I want to thank you guys for spending time with me today. I can tell you that the people who are most familiar with the software are the people who are the happiest with it. So I really do appreciate the fact that you took the time today, especially because we had other people signed up that didn't show up. So again, thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.